All right, today we're gonna go over the last form of a quadratic. This is called standard form. You guys have definitely seen it before. So this looks like y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, which you guys have seen before. So last week you guys learned vertex form and how to graph it from there. What's nice about vertex form is it gives you the vertex. This form of a quadratic equation, it doesn't give you the vertex. So you're gonna have to find it, and then to find it, you're gonna use this formula. So you're gonna be getting the x value only, and to get that, we use negative b over 2a. And if you notice, that's the little piece from the quadratic formula. So it's just missing the square root part. So they're connected. So like I said, this formula, it only gives you the x value of your vertex. So then once you have your x value, to find the y value, you're going to substitute the value of x into the original equation, and then you'll get both of them. So I'm just going to show a few examples of just finding the vertex, and then I'll do a couple graphing ones. But mine's missing one. Okay. So the first one, you have y equals negative 3x squared plus 18x minus 28. Usually it's always going to be in this form, so you don't worry about like a, b, and c being mixed up. So I'm literally just going to use this formula, and I'm going to plug in the b value and the a value. So in this case, x equals negative, and then your b value is 18, so I'm going to plug in 18 on the top. All over 2 times a, which in this case a is negative 3. And then I just simplify. So negative 18 is still going to be on the top. And then 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And then this simplifies to positive 3. So that's your x value of your vertex. And then to get the y value, you're just going to plug in 3 in for x into that whole equation. So you have negative 3 times 3, and then make sure you put that at squared because that's an x squared, plus 18 times 3 minus 28. So if you have the app that I told you guys to download, the Desmos Scientific one, it makes this like way easier for you. So I'm just going to type this whole thing in. And then make sure your exponent goes on the outside of the parentheses, just like how I wrote it. And then minus 28. And that'll be negative 1. So your y value would be negative 1. So then your vertex for when you're graphing it, it's going to be at 3, negative 1. So not too bad. So we'll do this one, y equals 1/2 x squared plus 2x plus 9. So same thing, you need to get your vertex. So you're going to do this formula, negative b over 2a. So your b value is 2, so that's going to be negative 2 over 2 times a, and a in this case is 1/2. So simplify, negative 2 will stay the same. 2 times 1/2, that's just going to be a 1. And the negative 2 over 1 simplifies to negative 2. And that's your x value. Then again, you just plug in your x value once you know what it is to find your y value. So you'll have 1/2 times negative 2 squared. Again, make sure the exponent goes on the outside. Plus 2 times -2 plus 9. So type that whole thing in. I'm going to use 0.5. And then plus 9. And that gives you 7. And then, so that means your vertex would be -2, +7. And I'll do one more. So y equals -x squared minus 6x plus 7. So same thing, you're using this formula to get the x value of your vertex. So it's -b. So since now it's a -6, it's going to be like -6. So basically it's going to change its sign. And then over 2 times a, and then in this case there's technically a -1 right here. So your a value would be -1. So the -6, that's going to change to +6. And then this will be -2, simplifies to -3. And that's your x value. And then now to get your y value, just plug it in. So we have, this one's a little confusing. People just forget to put the negative. It's like -3. That's how you should be typing it in, because it's like -x squared. So whatever x squared is, you have to put a negative in front of it. And then -6 times -3 plus 7. So I'm just going to type that whole thing in. So again, make sure the negative is in the very front. So that'd be 16. So your vertex would be -3, +16. So that's the most important thing for standard form, because it doesn't give you the vertex, so you have to find it yourself. So I'm going to do an example of graphing with it. Y equals 2x squared minus 12x plus 16. So before you can even do your table, so you need your vertex, remember, you put it in the middle to get your other values. You have to find your vertex first. So I'm going to do exactly like what we just did. So x equals -b, and in this case your b value is -12. So it'll look like this. And then all over 2 times a, and our a value is +2. And then that becomes +12 over 4, which simplifies to 3. So that's your x value of your vertex. So now when you plug it in, y equals 2 times 3 squared minus 12 times 3 plus 16. So type that whole thing in and type it in exactly how you see it. It's easy to make mistakes. That'd be -2 for y. So that means your vertex is going to be 3, -2. And then remember, that's the middle of your table. So then that would go here. So my x value would be 3, and then I already know the y value is -2. Then to fill up the rest of your table, remember you go lower than 3. So that would be 2 and 1. And then you go higher than 3. So it'd just be 4 and 5.
And now you plug them in to get your y values, and then you can graph them. So we already typed out the equations. I'm just going to change the 3. I'm going to plug in 2. Make sure you change both of them, because now there's 2 x's. So that would be 0. And remember 2 is going to match with 4, so I'm just going to save myself some work and put that one as 0 as well. And then now you're going to change the 2 to a 1. And then make sure you change both of them. And that would be 6. Which means 5 is also going to be 6. And then now I can graph them. So we have 1, 6, 2, 0. The vertex 3, negative 2, 4, 0, and 5, 6.
So make sure when you are connecting them that you try to make it curved, like don't make it look like a V like mine. But yeah, close enough. So now we can fill out this. So obviously the orientation, it's a positive A value, so it is upwards. I'm just gonna write up. So since it's upwards, we have a minimum value because that's our lowest point, and it's always the Y value of your vertex because that's the lowest it goes, so it's negative 2. And then your axis of symmetry, remember that's that line right in the middle. You don't have to draw it. And it's always the X value of your vertex. And your x-intercepts, that's where it's hitting the x-axis. So it's hitting it at 2 and 4. And then your y-intercept, we can't see it, so don't try to guess like, oh, it's about 6. So remember, since we can't see it, we have to plug in 0 for x. So I'm just gonna go here and then change this to a 0. Okay. Yeah, so then it'd be 16. So obviously we can't see it, but it's gonna eventually hit it. And then the shape of it, so you wanna look at the A value. So our A value is 2. So since it's bigger than 1, it's a stretched parabola. And this shift, that's just how it moved from 0, 0. So just look at the vertex. It's positive 3, so it went right 3. And then since it's negative 2, it went down 2. And domain, because it extends forever and ever, left to right, that's why it's all real numbers. Your range, since it's bottom to top, I said it right finally, the lowest y value, so it's a hard bracket, is negative 2. And then it goes up forever and ever, so that's positive infinity with the parentheses. And then your end behavior, you guys seem to be getting a little better. So x's go right and left, so as x approaches positive infinity, as it goes to the right, since it's going upwards, y is going to positive infinity. And then x, as it goes towards negative infinity, it's still going upwards, so y is still positive infinity. Again, your y values are always the same. Okay, so that's graphing standard form. So I'll just do one more so you can just see it to clarify anything. It's really nothing too new, just finding the vertex. All this is the same. Okay, so we have this equation. So since it's in standard form, I know I have to find the vertex. So I'm going to do x equals negative b, and our b value is negative 4. So it's like negative 4. And that's all over 2 times a, and our a value is negative 1. So that's going to simplify to positive 4 over negative 2. And then 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2, and that's your x value. So now I'll plug it in. So again, make sure careful with that negative in the front. So it's negative 2 squared minus 4 times negative 2 minus 7, and that'll be negative 3. So this is what it should, sorry, I should have wrote that. That's what it looked like when I typed it in. and then it gave me -3. So that means your vertex is going to be -2, -3. And then I use that for my table. So that's going to go right in the middle. So I'll have -2, -3. And then
I go lower than -2, so that's -3, -4. And then I go more than -2, so -1 and 0. And then I need to plug those in. I'm going to plug in -3, and that gives me -4. So remember, -3 will match with -1, so I know that one is going to be the same. And then I gotta change -3 to -4. Oh, not quite 3. And that'll give me -7. And then that'll give me the same thing for 0. And then you graph them, so -4, -7 is down here. -3, -4. -2, -3. -1, -4. And 0, -7. So I'll try to make this one more curved, more like a U-shaped. Yeah, that's a lot better.
other one. Okay, so now last thing, your orientation, obviously it's downwards. I'm just gonna write down. Since it's downwards, we have a maximum, that's the highest point right here. And it's the y value of your vertex, so it's -3. And then axis of symmetry, that's that imaginary line in the middle. And that equation is x equals -2, because that's the x value of your vertex. And your x-intercepts, there aren't any, and you don't have to plug anything in to find them, because since the vertex is below the x-axis and it's facing downwards, they're never gonna hit the x-axis. So you could either leave it blank or just say none. So it'll never have an x-intercept. And then your y-intercept, it's hitting the y-axis at -7. And then this part, the shape. So your a value is -1. So technically it's just a 1, which means that's a standard. And then this shift, again, it's how it moved from 0, 0 to here. So it's easier if you just look at the vertex. So -2, it went left 2, and then -3 means it went down 3. And your domain is all real numbers. And your range, so it goes from bottom to top. The very lowest point we can't see, so it goes to -infinity. And then the highest point is -3. And make sure you do a hard bracket because it's exact value. And then your end behavior, so your x values always go positive infinity and negative infinity because they go left and right. And then since our parabola is facing downwards, both of your y's are approaching -infinity. All right, and that is standard form. So only thing is the vertex isn't given to you like in vertex form, you have to find it on your own. So hopefully this made sense. So yeah, just after this, go ahead and do the Edulastic assignment, and there's a couple extra credit opportunities if you take a look on the agenda, so check those out. And yeah, hope you guys are well, and hope you have a good day. Bye.